Hello there, Scotty. Welcome back to the Road to Halloween Horror Month. It's day 4. We're going to talk about an episode of the Twilight Zone today, the 2019 Twilight Zone. Before we do that, of course, we gotta put another piece on the set. So it's going to be the Terrifier 3 VHS I got from Walmart. Stop shining. Need some representation from Art Clown. And I know he's technically right here, the Terrifier 2 cover, but I want him on the actual background, so there we are. The Ninja Turtles Day, wonder what that's for, is to prop it up, because once I had everything set up, you couldn't really see Art. So I had to prop it up so you can see him better on that side, so. Alright, so when I wanted to look at the Twilight Zone episode to do for this, I did a bunch of them a couple years ago from the classic series. I'm like, why don't I do one from the newer series? So when I first got this DVD box set, this DVD set for the first season, I started to review all of them. I did the first 2, and then I stopped, and then I just did one video, a review of the season, and went to each episode and did a little synopsis and review. So when I was trying to figure out an episode from this to do, I was looking at the episodes, and I went, Blurry Man. I remember that. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Blurry Man, the 10th episode of Season 1 of the new Twilight Zone, 2019 Twilight Zone. It's a fourth wall-breaking episode that stars Zazie Bates as the main character of Sophie. No, Sophie, yes. It also features Jordan Peele as a fictional version of himself. We also have Betty Gabriel, you may know from Jordan Peele's other movie, Get Out. And Seth Rogen is also here. And what I'm disappointed with this, other than the ending being very, Uncanny Valley-ish, the opening to this is a pretty good opening. It's got Seth Rogen playing an author who's trying to write a story. He finishes it, and then Betty Gabriel's character shows up and is very upset, and then he realizes that, he looks out the window, he realizes that it's like an apocalyptic world out there, right? So I'm hooked, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, I don't remember this. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I remember what happens now. But like, first time I watched this, I was like, this is interesting. And then Jordan Peele comes on to do his narration, and then stops midway. Like, you know what? No, where's Sophie? Where's Sophie? And they're on set. And apparently, he needs her to rewrite the opening narration. Now, the twist for this episode, I feel like, is telegraphed from the very beginning with a line of dialogue, which I'll get to later. But, yeah. So, but I think it works, especially towards this twist. If you don't know what's going on, you've never seen this episode before, you won't get it. But watching this, haven't seen it before, and remembering what the twist is, I'm like, yeah, okay, I get that nod. But, yeah. So they argue because Jordan Peele wanted to focus more on the horror, and she says, no, it should be all about the message, not the horror, not the genre stuff. It should be about the message. There's an argument, and so then she does write it, but they're taking so long she has to write it on cue cards. But then when Jordan Peele starts the narration is not about the episode they're filming, it's about the episode we're watching. Yeah. and then we get the opening. It's a very long intro to get there, but yeah. So it's after this that people, then another woman is pointing out a blurry man, an extra, in all of the episodes leading up to this. And from what I remember, I was like, okay, he's not actually in there. Because I remember checking the first episode and not finding a blurry man. And I'm like, so it's not, they're just saying he's not in actual episodes. Actually, he is. But it's also a trick. Because I remember when I first watched this, I had to put the first disc back in and watch it, fast forward to where I see the episode, and I'm like, there's a guy there, but it's not. Watch GameSpot Universe video on this. They point out in each episode where you can see this blurry man. But in each episode, it's not the blurry man is presented in this episode, though. It's just a man in a suit with his back or a side view where you can't see his face to the camera. He just shows up in every episode. Although, according to this, he's in every frame, in every take. But I don't think he's in every take of every episode. He's just in that one shot, I think. So they're making that up, but no. They decided they gotta take a lunch. But then, like, it's nighttime. I guess it depends on what your hours are taking lunches and that. I don't know. And they can't find Jordan Peele anywhere. That's never really explained. So there's a lot in this episode that's not really explained. And it feels like they wrote it that way to be like, oh, there's a lot of weird stuff in this episode. We don't need to explain it because it's all weird things happening to her. Sure. Whatever. So then she ends up on a few of the sets from some of the newer episodes where she keeps saying the blurry man, and he's walking around and she's, there's a specific scene where she walks in and he's like underneath some lights and she yells at him and a big old light kind of, Now, if you pay attention to the way he's walking and the way he moves, you can kind of figure out what this is, but I don't know if you'll get it. Like, but let's just say, going in with a different point of view this time, not only haven't seen this, but other episodes of the original show, I was like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Like, I remember what this, because I remember what it was, but I'm like, okay, I could see it now. So after running from this thing and getting hurt and this limp, it's a terrible limp. I'm sorry. She doesn't look like she's limping. She looks like she's purposely stopping herself from moving fast, which is what it is. But she... So a limp is like... Right? She's doing this. Just make it look like she's walking slow. And I'm like, it's just a... It's not a limp. It's just a... I don't know. She can't limp. And she's running from it. She starts to have conversations with her inner monologue. And that ends up basically telling her to, instead of running from it, embrace it. It does, and it takes her back to the past where she's watching classic episodes of Twilight Zone, Time Enough At Last with Burgess Meredith. Great episode. There was time now. And she can't be moved from watching the episode. Dad doesn't want her to watch it, but Mom says it's fine, and then they can't get her attention. And then she wakes up and she's back where they're on the set, and she's giving the new lines to Jordan, and he loves them. But I guess it's not over yet. Remember, like I was about to tell her, it's not over. And, yeah, she then has to follow the blurry men, where everything becomes black and white, the set becomes a real apartment building, and she goes out into the streets, where everything, much like the episode, is apocalyptic. She walks till she gets to the library, different library this time, where the steps look very familiar. It's got book names on it, but also a certain pair of glasses. Burgess Meredith's glasses from Time Last are laying on the steps. She walks in, all the books and stuff like in that episode. And then Zombie Rod Serling shows up. Now, if you thought it was weird to see Tarkin, Peter Cushing, in The Force Awakens, well, or not Force Awakens, in Rogue One, well, let me tell you. This is, so, they're actually, what is it, this body double guy, and they put makeup on him, and they have someone doing the voice, but they're also using CGI, because you can tell when he moves his lips, to make it look like, it's kind of like what they did with Dr. Loomis in Halloween Kills, but that was makeup. There's some CGI in here to make it look like, the problem is with Dr. Loomis, they shot it from afar. They didn't really have any close-ups. It was from a distance. They have a close-up here, and it's the uncanny valley of a zombie Rod Serling talking to her, wanting to take her into the Twilight Zone. And they do. They go into the Twilight Zone. The door goes all weird, and then we have a narration from zombie Rod Serling saying that something about she's going to be in the Twilight Zone. Because as she's approaching, she's like, this is it, right? This is the twist. It can't all end right. Right? Some kind of twist. You could say that stuff like Goosebumps and I Fear the Dark took their twist endings from the Twilight Zone. I'd agree with you. But I don't know. This episode feels like it exists to be weird for the sake of being weird and to not give answers because, hey, it's a weird one. We don't need answers. But this, in every episode, there's a lesson or something that connects to the ending. This is one of the most confusing things I've watched in my entire life. Because in every episode, there's a reason why they're stuck in the Twilight Zone. She just needed to write an opening monologue. Maybe the argument she had with Jordan Peele at the beginning triggered it because she was more concerned about the message than the genre stuff, the horror stuff. But if Rod Serling were alive and well today, he'd agree with her side, as he was always trying to push the message in. Yes, the horror and sci-fi genre stuff was good, but it was always about the message with Rod Serling. It was about putting a message in there and trying to get away with it from the CBS censors. That was the point, to put a message in each episode. He would agree with her side, but the writers of this episode are saying he'd agree with Jordan Peele. The horror is more important. According to, because they didn't go after Jordan Peele, went after her. So, also, why did Jordan Peele disappear? Some of you might think, well, that means he's turning into the Blurry Man, because the Blurry Man was the original narrator, so he's becoming the Blurry Man, kind of like a Freddy's Dead situation, or a New Nightmare situation, but no. He disappears, and then she's zapped back to reality, but no B Rabbit, and he's fine. So. And then the ending. She has the narration. It works. But now she's got to go into the Twilight Zone with zombie Rod Serling, and I don't. They didn't have an ending, and then just she walks into the Twilight Zone with him. Because the ending makes no sense. It just doesn't. Sorry. Does not make any sense. It's a confusing episode. honestly, the other episode I was going to do, which was a racism episode, replay, might have been a better one to talk about, but as soon as I saw Blurryman, I was like, I have to talk about this episode. So, yeah. So what are your thoughts on this episode? Leave a comment, so much like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.